For sure.
But we are getting back to that.
We're going to circle back.
We're going to circle back to that.
Circle back.
Welcome to the latest episode of Authenticated with your host, Kate McLeod. I am intrigued by people. People watching, I love. People learning, that's where I'm insatiably curious. I'm interested in the why and how of the creative mind's pattern of thinking, the subtext to the creative thinker, or in its more conscious and malleable form, the creative conscious. Because when you are so clear on yourself via the triad of consciousnesses, then you become reflective to others. Meeting yourself is an infectious practice because what feels good is infectious and something I think we could all use a good dose of. So join me in conversations with a diverse arsenal of creative thinkers, from artists to entrepreneurs to serial thinkers ready to optimize their creative conscious. With me, self-made and self-proclaimed creative entrepreneur. Sounds hot, right?
But that's what we were talking about with that writing idea. But like for me, I actually don't believe in like the idea of a soulmate at all. And that's something I'm really like coming around to recently. I'm becoming less and less kind of romantic about these things because I think that actually cheapens what our 14-year relationship has been. It's not soulmates who like found each other. We are people that needed another person and we have built a relationship. We have put in hours. We have put in work getting to know one another and getting to know kind of what we believe in, our values, getting to know our histories, all of that. Like to say that, you know, the universe brought us together, for me, we put in work, and I want credit for the work that we put in,
No,
you know?
for sure. Well, then say more. Wait, say more about that before I say what I was going to say.
Well, I just think that kind of with all types of relationships, like relationships require maintenance, require work.
For sure.
And I think it's easy to, I used to, or maybe I still do, who knows? But I talk to me in a year and I'll feel differently, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But I used to always say this thing about, actually I was recently talking to my roommate about this, that she was saying there, it's like the 5,000 soul theory that in your living life you might meet 5,000 significant souls, and that every time you're reincarnated, it's the same 5,000 souls, just in like different iterations or whatever. But I used to like really subscribe to that idea of certain people you meet, you've known before.
Yeah.
And I remember when we went to London, I was like, I've been here before, even though I had never stepped foot there in my life.
That.
So I'm not saying like I've never entertained these ideas. What I'm saying is I think even if all of that is true, I think it actually ends up cheapening what it's like to build a relationship, to maintain a relationship. You get what I'm getting at there?
I see your perspective, and it like definitely makes sense because yeah, I want credit for the work because like we've gone through a lot. We've put in a lot of work. We've put in a lot of time and effort, and like definitely want to own that and like get credit for that. But what I mean by soulmate too is soulmate to me means like an eligibility for the relationship to put into this work, where it's like you and I grew up on opposite sides of the country in opposite circumstances with opposite people. But for some reason, you and I find a lot of same like psychological clicks that the two of us both have. Both
Sure.
middle children.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Both born the same year. So I think that for me, soulmate means just the opportunity to opt in, because it's not like you meet someone and there's never any work. There is no relationship on earth that doesn't require some kind of work or realignment or adjustment, because human variation is too vast for anything to be two people to be perfect, if that even is a word, like for each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and what you're saying about opting in, that we got the opportunity to opt in, like the universe gave us that option.
Yes.
I'm of the mind, not to like push back, but I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
But I'm of the mind that we have that option to opt in for every single human being.
I don't know though, because the level of work that would be required.
Different.
I don't know if I would sign up for all of that.
But think about you talked about how we didn't like each other when we first met.
Yeah.
Actively didn't like each other.
Yeah,
like very,
very
much.
actively.
but you know, it's through circumstance that we wound up liking each other. And then it was through hard work
I see you.
that we are now sitting here across from this table today, 14 years later, whatever. So for me, I don't think the universe set us up to be as good friends today as we are.
I still believe in the universe at all, but this takes me back to what we were saying earlier when you're saying that, like, when you present options for yourself of what might happen in your evolution, what's next, you always have a two-sided situation where you need someone to co-sign, where it's like, I'm going to leave this certain percentage of this option open so that the other side can meet me there, and then I can really know what my options are in a more solidified way because there are two parties that are saying this will happen. What if there's three? What if there is you, me, and the universe?
Girl.
Sure.
I'm just saying
that there is more, and especially like to disperse like more of it. I don't want to say like it alleviates and like helps distribute to carry the weight, but it is almost like that there is like some force that we don't have control over that is an active participant.
Listen, this is when your crunchy SoCal kind of upbringing comes up against my sort of a hardened New England whatever. But like realist
You're the only
me.
person in my life who's ever called me crunchy, but I love
Girl,
it.
you're crunchy.
Crunch,
we were just talking
crunch.
about when we went to the farmer's market with your mother.
We
like
were.
that.
Yeah.
But look, I hear you. I think I'm just I'm not somebody who's going to give that to somebody else because I'm here and I did this. And like, yeah, sure, maybe there's universe, maybe there's God, maybe there's whatever that's helping us along the way, that is deciding what's happening in our lives. Absolutely. I have a lot of time for that. Let me tell you about me and what I've done.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm just gonna take that credit there.
You're gonna take your credit, you're gonna take your space. But see, I think this is what is one of the keys to our relationship that makes it so successful, is because we have no fear of pushing back on the other. Yeah. Which is so good because I want a different perspective, as do you.
I think we disagree on things.
A lot of things.
Right. So like, and or even just have like a different kind of gut reaction to things. Even I think we were like watching Drag Race last night and you're like, oh, this person, like, nope, no. And I was like, excuse me, incorrect. And like you and I just like, we just immediately had completely different views on the matter. And it's not, I think because both of us like to be challenged, maybe that's why, even on these kind of really important things of how you see the world and the universe and whatever, I really appreciate when you go like Californian woo-woo on me, you know? And I like being exposed to that. And I like being exposed to like these different ways of thinking. That's my whole bag.
I think my woo too, the approach to my woo is because I love science so much and I love information. The woo to me is the space of unknowing, where it's like, because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing. As I continue to educate myself, I just realize how much I don't know. And I think that the only people who kind of bump me now or kind of like extra intrigue me in a way are the people who think that they know everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to know how you think that. Like, no, and not from a place of like, prove you wrong, but no, genuinely tell me more. Because that's not the perspective I have at all. All the time, I'm just like, oh my God, is there enough time for me to like literally learn all the things that I want to learn?
Yes. Yes. Oh, well, I guess no, actually. The answer is no.
Yeah.
There is not enough. My grandma used to always say, like, there's not enough time in this life for me to read all the books I want to read. That hurts my heart, but I feel the same way. There's so much I want to consume, so much I want to learn. And there's not enough time for it. So I have to just be happy with what I've got in front of me.
I've had a really interesting shift recently where I've been having a hard time going to sleep at night because I'm so excited for the next day. And This is when I become annoying.
That's literally like the most like Kate McLeod coded thing I could think of. Like, so go on.
But then I wake up in the morning so excited for the day. Like I have naturally been I've been doing this thing where I've been challenging myself to like write about like the highest self that I could see, that version of myself that day, and like what she's feeling and how I can like implement that into my life now and like feel those things. But genuinely something that is waking me up naturally now is like excitement. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, no, I didn't get enough time. I want to do more. And I would rather opt into that energy than having the fear of not enough time.
Sure. Meanwhile, I literally value nothing more than sleep. If I could sleep 18 hours a day, I would sleep 18 hours a day. I look back on a day and I'm like, God, it was a good sleep last night. Like that is like what I value most.
You're the one who actually was the first one to be like, you don't sleep enough. It's
for
not
sure.
natural.
No, that's 100% true, and you don't.
No, because I have so much excitement. But you, on the other
So
hand,
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like so much excitement. I just can't even sleep.
New York hasn't hardened me after 14 years at all. But what you though, you're also like, what do you say? What's your phrase again? Like, optimist. Something comes before optimist though that you call yourself.
Oh, what?
You refer to yourself as this all the time. You're optimist. Like if you had to categorize your personhood of optimism, what would it be?
Do I say I'm an eternal optimist?
Eternal optimist.
Sure,
That's
sure,
what it
sure,
is.
sure.
Yeah. No, you are an eternal optimist. And even when I call you and I'm like, this is bad and it means this, you're like, but does it? No. Like you are the person who literally finds more space.
Yeah.
And more opportunity and feelings to feel more positive. So your energy is quite similar to mine, just translated in a different way.
That is true. You know, like you have a bad day and then you won't be able to sleep because you're excited for the good day tomorrow. You know, I have a bad day and I'm like, I'm gonna go to sleep because tomorrow's going to be a good day. You know, we're getting to the same place.
Yes.
You know, just me having a lot more sleep, so I'm gonna live a lot longer than you.
That more than likely. Yeah, I have been sleeping more though. No more 4 hours a night. Now I'm at maybe 7 or 8 average.
Yeah, for sure. At our age, you should be getting at least 8.
No, and that is true though. It's just like I've also realized too that I'm going to reach my highest levels of creation if I'm not giving my body literally biologically what it needs to survive, to be successful. I also am trying so hard to detach myself from the addiction of doing. And constantly
I mean, that's like what we were talking about before, right?
Yeah.
Is like needing to be productive or else you get so guilty about not being productive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just like no point to that. It's wasted.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and I know I'm getting, like I have a lot of confidence always in like, I'm going where I want to go. I'm achieving what I want to achieve. Like I'm going to be able to do all the things that I want. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, all of that is true, but then, like, as any bodybuilder would tell you, rest is actually the most important thing.
Correct.
Right? In order to build muscle, you actually have to rest. And that's actually what builds the muscle is those rest periods or whatever. I mean, I'm saying that as if it's fact. I'm pretty sure that's true. You can, I don't know, say something in the comments.
No,
but
as someone who lifts a lot, it is very important for you to let your body rest.
The point is like, it's super important to rest. And it's a decluttering that happens, right? When we sleep. And if you're not, if you're constantly running, you're never giving yourself a chance to, I don't know, reflect back, to just to be optimized, right? And that's what we're trying to do now, right?
We're
trying to be optimized people.
The other kind of rest that I had to actively implement is the rest that is the way I talk to myself in my brain, where I used to be driven by more negative forces, I think, and proving other people wrong. I read something online that was like, to the people who close the doors on me, I'm coming back to buy the building. Like, I don't need that energy as much as I need the energy of just enjoying my own user experience and like actually just having better thoughts where I don't have to like carry as much weight or like don't have to like I've told you about the visual where it's like the big Kate walking. And then like sometimes when I feel like I've healed old versions of myself, the little Kates that are like clinging onto my back, they uncling. And it's not like I leave them. They just start walking on their own with me kind of a deal where it's like, I don't think that I have to hold on or harden as much. I think it's actually more beneficial for me to habitualize having a better way of talking to myself in my head and then just being a malleable little being.
Well, yeah. Why is it, when when people shut the door on you, why is your first instinct to be like, I'm going to prove them wrong?
Yeah.
What, like,
Yeah.
why?
No, exactly.
Am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Absolutely.
My go-to motto of like, I don't fuck with people that don't fuck with me. So if
Yes.
somebody's closing a door on me, that's not somebody I want to work with.
Yeah. And also, that person genuinely thinks that they are doing the best thing for themselves. Pop off.
Yeah, go on.
do that. But because the reason that this friendship is so fun is because both of us press the fuck yeah button.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if it's
We're yes bitches.
we're yes bitches.
But I guess I'm saying that because, you know, the idea of how we respond to rejection or how we respond to not being wanted, you know,
Yeah.
however you want to phrase it, that's that type of thing that I'm talking about where that's a learned behavior. You know, you get rejected and you're like, okay, this door's shut. I'm going to own the building. I'm going to get back by, you know, whatever. A door shuts on me and I'm, I don't even know what I do. But the idea is that that response to rejection for all of us can be optimized, can be the rejection. We talked about this recently, but like rejection isn't a feeling you should ever have to feel. And
Rags.
you know, yeah, exactly. In an ideal world, if you are actually rejected, you don't need to feel rejection. That if you're rejected, like I'm saying, you know, okay, on to the next thing. That wasn't meant to work here. We're going to keep moving. And that it's easier said than done. I'm somebody who is perpetually kind of in fear of rejection. And yet I decided to become an actor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe that's that thing of me being clinically needing a challenge, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I hate rejection. I'm going to enter a field that is
Pure rejection.
Exclusively rejection. Yeah.
I think my switch towards rejection now is being like, okay, well, I'm just not going there. It's just like, okay, so that's not it. I know the things, like I know the big thing. I know the goal. It's going to be reached. I know it's going to happen. I have no idea how it looks. And I think that too, I'm coming back to buy the building thing. It was one, a defense mechanism, but two, it was also an easily accessible learned behavior that I could opt into super quickly because everyone around me was trying to feel that like semblance of like taking their power back. Like I'm coming back to buy the building. So like close the door on me. That's fine. But if that's what so many people are doing as their defense mechanism, but I was doing it and it's like, I can embody it and I can do that, but it just wasn't feeling right to me. I'm like, I just like don't know if like other people's opinions of me matter that much. I don't know if other people in their actions should have that much influence over the way that I feel about myself. Like that to me like doesn't make sense. So now it's like, even in acting, it's like rejection constantly. All the time. Being in the acting field is just constant rejection. And now it's just more of like, okay, so that's just not the thing. I'm just not going that direction. But luckily, I have these other 3 directions that I could go. Or what I could do is if I don't want to be in the room of waiting for other people to give me a green light, I'm just going to go into a different building, give myself the green light, and then play the game later when I'm at a different level. So it's not this like initial thing because it's really hard. It's like the thing like I don't want to go to cattle calls now. And they're just not the place for me. Like I go and I just see old versions of myself. And I'm like, oh, this actually isn't the speed here. The cadence here hasn't kept up with my own evolution. So I shouldn't be going at this speed because it's old.
Sure. But I mean, this is again the thing that I was saying, you know, 10 years from now, we're going to listen back to this, which put that literally in the calendar.
No, I'm
10
saying,
years from now, we're going to
I want a notification.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we'll look back on this and say, oh, that seemed like the right thought, but even that has its own kind of whatever, like
it's going to grow.
Yeah. I think, you know, you're saying I couldn't go to a cattle call now because I'm seeing old versions of myself there. It's like, okay, well, you're your new version of yourself. What's preventing you from being the new version of yourself there?
You mean like to go into there and just like be my powerful self now, like in that situation?
Yeah.
Well, it's not ego. It's kind of like I've logicked or rationaled my way out of that.
For sure. No, like I think sometimes you can do this thing where you tell yourself a narrative
Mm-hmm.
and then that becomes the truth. And it's not that the narrative is wrong. Like I don't know that going to cattle calls is the best thing for you right now.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we tell ourselves these narratives in order to justify why we don't want to be going to cattle calls.
Mm.
And it's like, even if it's a true kind of narrative based in fact, it's still, I don't want to overuse, defense mechanism or whatever it is, but it's a way to protect yourself from the vulnerability that you feel when you walk into a room and there are 30 versions of you there, right? Reading for the same part. Like that's just something that's an icky feeling.
Well, I also mean by when I say old versions of myself too, because I am curious on what your thoughts are between the difference of a defense mechanism and also like just being like, oh, it's just not my space anymore. Because it's not like I'm
Mhm.
going in and I'm seeing people who all look like me. It's that I'm literally going into a room and I'm seeing someone and I'm reading their energy and I'm like, I used to feel like that too. Like I used to shake before auditions, even though I wanted to be here actively. I did used to shake. I did used to get nervous and I did have to do my breathing exercises and I did do my stretches in front of everybody. And like I did do all these things where it's like, this is just not a practice that I'm practicing anymore. It's like because I know, not I know, but I have a better relationship to showing up in a room that I know is curated for me or has me in mind. Because I also know from the other side of the table, after producing, after assembling shoots, I do know that there are specific things in mind that people do have when they come in, ideas. And of course, like when actors come in, there is the evolution of the idea that changes because they come in with their ideas and, casting director sees them, they morph. But there are just certain rooms where I'm like, I actually don't think that I am even serving this space as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think what I mean, like even picking up on the sort of old versions of yourself or whatever, that is, you're saying you're coming in and you're sensing their nervous energy, what's happening with them, which I absolutely,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean
Yeah.
there. And yet you're a grown person that's coming in and it doesn't have that nervous energy. So isn't that exactly how you should be going in to set yourself apart from these people?
I mean, no,
right?
good point. Still
But
a tool.
I think for you to say, okay, but this also isn't what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah.
That's totally acceptable.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to, I don't know, get a role, in that new production of whatever play,
I do have to go to the EPA.
this is the way to do it, right? And so you can decide, okay, I don't want to go to cattle calls anymore, but you're saying, in saying that, you're also saying like, I don't want that job, right? And that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying this all from the perspective of I'm a retired actor.
Yeah.
Like for the record, like I don't go to auditions full stop anymore, right? So that's something that I've kind of had to come around to, and I've had to be really honest with myself that it's like I can't like it is not for me that sort of the uncertainty of it, the feeling like that constant rejection. I gave it a try, and I regret nothing.
Yeah,
but it's not a part of my life, and it all has to do with my comfortability there.
Well, I think too, there's also, from my perspective, from my vantage point, it's like the potential of the story and the way that the story goes. And this might be the product oriented thing, but it's like, if Kate does want to be in that new production of Playwrights Horizons, that like she got the breakdown and read the script and was completely lit up by it. Does the story go? So Kate went to the Equity Public audition. Did Kate go to the EPA? And then, Elaine was there and was like, oh, I remember you. Okay. And then that's right. I should have brought you in because I kind of forgot, but like, that's great. Like, I'll see you now. Cause like, that's a resource I have. Or is it that I email her and be like, saw this happened, would love to come in for it. You know, like I don't know if the story anymore aligns with me to say, well, then Kate went to the EPA.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't think anybody knows.
Because I'm also looking for optimization, right? Like the first time that equity building was accessible to me was when we were in undergrad. When I went to the room and I waited for an entire day, I was like, I will never do this again. I will never be in the position of waiting for a whole day as if my time is not valuable. It doesn't matter for someone to maybe give me an opportunity. Do you know what I mean? And then I got my equity card and then I was like, okay, so I can make appointments, go in, out. That's great. I used it as a really beautiful tool for a long time just to act because it brings me so much joy. And also to be in the practice of waking up excited, but also being like, I get to act today. Like I would literally skip to my auditions. And still now when I do see certain calls that I'm like, I am going in for that, I do skip there and I do skip home. I'm so excited. It is just a beautiful opportunity. But I also think that as I continue looking back, I see the ways that I optimize my opportunities from not equity to equity, now having appointment times. And then now just being like, okay, so now I've met these people. And what other ways can I create for myself to meet these people? And then why can't I just ask them directly? Let me just eliminate the parties in between us.
Absolutely. That's the entire game of any industry, right?
Yeah.
It's you get work through your network or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I also think, you know, you have to go to that job interview though as well. So I was recently reading this thing on LinkedIn, the only social media I have. Like, please add me on LinkedIn. But I was reading on LinkedIn, you know, apparently what the who knows? And this is the point. Who knows? Nobody knows. But
someone thinks they know, and you read it, so tell me.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So they thought that what you should do is you submit an application and then you add the hiring manager on LinkedIn and you message them and you say, hey, I just applied, just wanted to connect as well. And then you're doing the interview. And I'm like, okay, that's all. It's all about building that network and building those connections. So I recently did an interview and I was like, oh, can I add you guys on LinkedIn after that? Like, you know, and it's this idea of, taking that moment where you're face to face with someone and continuing that, getting in the room, getting seen by people. And for you, what I think what you're kind of circling is, oh, I don't need to go to these open calls to get in the room with these people. These people actually already know who I am, you know?
Yes.
And I think there's benefits to both. You know, how are you going to spend? It takes you what? Well, no, I don't want to dox you how long it takes you to get to the equity building.
If I decide that I'm going to go to the equity building, and also just to expand on what you just said, it's not that I'm not doing that. It's just that that's not my only option now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one tool I have in my toolbox of getting what I want.
Yes.
And I completely forgot what I was going to say. What did you just ask me?
Oh, I was going to say, like, how long does it actually take you? Like, all told, you're going to a call now that, and especially now that you have your card and you can schedule an appointment.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know how it works these days, but
no, you do
back in my day,
of acting, what I retired from. No, I mean, when I do decide, I will say what that takes of me from the day is it probably takes me 2.5 hours, which is, and that's not commute time. That is Kate prep time. And we know I love an indulgent prep morning. My bathroom is my spa. Like, that is part of my process. And then getting into the place that I want to be, where I know that I am successful in coming from before I go into that room. And then traveling 25 minutes, like on the train, it takes me no time. Walk in 15 minutes early, sit, whatever, probably know someone, go in, go out, come home. Like, it's
that's nice. You ran into someone while you were there, a little networking opportunity. Sorry.
Not you illuminating, not you stage lighting my fucking stage. I love that. You're like literally more. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take me that much time. What I do know is it gives me so much joy. It gives me so much joy to go in and do a monologue or do the scene.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, sometimes I do it when I know I'm not even right for the part, but I just want to go see that casting director because I know them, or I haven't met that casting director before. And like, yeah, I'm kind of pushing it on the age for whatever this breakdown is. But,
often.
Yeah, often. But also, like, I know that I am a valuable enough actor and human that, like, when I go in, you could change your mind because I'm coming in with a good idea. And I'm coming in with a ton of talent.
And let me tell you, one thing you're very good at is changing people's minds,
yeah.
right? But I to just like completely push push you on all of this.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying like, oh, I get really excited to go in, and then I'm talking to people, I'm running into people I know, and then I'm getting to exercise, and I'm doing the thing that I love, and I really enjoy it, and it's very good. And yet the whole reason why we're even talking about this is because you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's like, what? Like, where is that coming from then?
I just got so red.
Sorry.
Oh, no, red READ, not like.
Oh, turning red.
No, READ.
Yeah,
reading, like read a book. Yeah. You just read me.
I did.
To
for
filth.
Sure. No, but I just mean, I think it's so easy for us to make like these factual statements about ourselves without realizing like that maybe what you're kind of getting at there to say like, I'm not going to quote unquote cattle calls anymore, is that you're feeling uncomfortable about that feeling going into there. It has nothing to do with the positive feelings you're feeling, but there's this extra feeling that you're like, I don't want to be that 22-year-old girl I was, feeling like cattle going in there. And I'm just here to push you and remind you, you're not the 22-year-old girl you were. You are the 31-year-old girl.
That was mean.
That you you started it.
I know.
But you are an evolved person now. Mm-hmm. And so if this is something that is beneficial to you, that you enjoy doing, that brings you joy, that's taking 2.5 hours out of your very regimented life. But if that is all true, then what is it that makes you say out loud on a podcast for the world to hear, I don't do this. I don't like doing this anymore. You know, what's going on underneath
because
that?
You're right. Because like, even if I walked into that space and like that's the space, that's how the space is defined. No one could ever make me a version of myself that I'm not.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. But also I think it's because, honestly, it's because I am in that part of my career, my journey, my life, where I know the glow up is so close. And so I am aligning with her.
Do you? And what does that even mean?
I do know that. I know that like things because I'm so uncomfortable all the time. I know that I'm in a growing phase, which means that there will be achieved expansion growth. Things are going to look different soon. And I think it's because I'm so ready, I think, or not even like ready, like, you know,
ready.
Movement. Ready. It's like I'm so uncomfortable, but I'm so calm, where I'm like, I can see so many beautiful, wonderful changes happening, like different looks. It looks different.
So why are you not glowed up now?
I am glowed up now.
Exactly. But you're saying like, I know the glown up version, the glown up version though. No, I know, but the future tense.
As if the
I'm trying to get into the future tense.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like the glown up version of me, grown up. Oh, you can have that one for free.
Thank you.
Grown up. No, but you're saying that version of you, you know, is in front of you and within reach, and it's so close. And yet I'm sitting across from you and this is the most glowed up I've ever seen you. So why not just now? Like, why do we have to be conceptually like thinking about the future of ourselves when right now is pretty darn good?
I'm going to repeat this back to you.
I know.
This
is again, I'm saying things that I'm like, is this even true? I don't even know.
But this is right though. But I think this is why this works, because I feel like I hope everyone in their life has a mirror like this, has a relationship like this, where they're just like, but I'm going to remind you of it, right? But because these are both things that we both need to implement, but in our own ways. It just happens in different ways. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know, because I'm the one who does know, because no one else can know. But like the glow up, I guess what I mean by the glow up is the novel of my life. I feel this chapter concluding, and I feel another one starting for a multitude of reasons. Like, so much is going to change in the next year and a half.
Factually true.
Factually true. But there is, you know how like I talk about past versions of myself. I feel very connected to a version of myself I haven't met yet. And I know that like I see a new schedule. I see a new identity, you know, with Me3, with this podcast, with my production company. I'm an actor at my core. I'm a writer. Like all these things, it just feels like the responsibilities are getting bigger. And I want my day-to-day practice and the days that I define myself and the things that my actions that I allow to define myself, represent me, I want to make sure that they are actually in line with other things. Like coffee, for example. There are certain kinds of coffee that I definitely drank back in the day. You cannot get me to drink now.
Sure.
You know the roasteries that are acceptable. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
You know, there are only certain cups of coffee that I'm going to have. Like, yes, I crave caffeine, but there are only certain kinds. If I'm going to have caffeine, it's going to be a worthy caffeinated beverage that has to come my way for me to consume it. I'm not going to just have pool water because I need a little bit of energy. It's like, no, I'd rather not until I find the thing that actually works. There's some of that happening right now in my life and in my career.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm pushing back on though is just to say, you know, who says that's the the right thing?
Me.
Yeah, but even you saying, you know, the novel of your life, which I think we use that metaphor a lot, you and I, right?
Yes.
We're talking
We
about
love
chapters
Phillips.
opening, chapters closing, and all of that. But then who's to say that's the right metaphor? You know, who's to say that we're kind of on this trajectory of like life has chapters and there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you're saying there's this future self that you know is there and you can sense is there and you can't wait to meet her and all of that. I think that's great. But what if that future self, it's just you right now?
It is me.
But like, it's that thing of I want to be more present, right? I think that's what I'm getting at is that by thinking about the future version of yourself, you're neglecting the present version of yourself. Not you. I'm saying the royal you.
I'm with
like
you.
That clarity.
Oh yeah, that's what we mean.
But like the royal you, the royal I just keep on thinking like, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. And it's like, that is all future thinking. When what I need is to think about the who I am right now and just be the who I am right now. The who I am right now.
The who I am right now.
I don't even know what that's.
Is that even right? Eat Shoots and Leaves. Help me. The who I am.
The who I am right now. No, it's for sure nothing right there, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Languages, you know.
I know.
Is malleable.
Very malleable.
You know.
I mean, have you seen my writing? You edit my stuff. You know how malleable I think language
You
is.
do sometimes like come out with some crazy turns of phrase. And I'm like, oh.
Well, because it makes sense when I'm speaking, but it doesn't necessarily make sense when I'm writing. Which recently I've actually learned a lot. I was editing an interview that I did last night. They sent it to me. They're like, do you want to revise this? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But it's so funny because I was like, wow, the way I speak does not translate on paper. Like I need to remember if things are going to be printed, I need to have that in mind because I think those are different versions of speaking.
Absolutely. But we all have different strengths. You know, we all talk you can though.
Yes, I can.
That's for sure. I mean, a strength.
Well, I love talking.
Same.
Yeah.
I think that's part of this whole thing is that you and I, nobody in our lives can ever shut us up. And now we've found somebody else who kind of is just like, okay, we don't need to shut up.
Yeah, we don't at all. No. We get to have super fun.
And then 3 hours later, we're still on the phone and it's like, oh God, this is what happens when we don't talk for a week.
Exactly, which is why, when you keep it consistent, then you actually have time to, disperse it out over.
What?
No, I'm curious about how, with you having so much change coming up, talk about what's coming up and talk about how you're going to keep yourself accountable to staying active in your thinking and present in doing that.
Well, I've had to stay present. Actually, this entire year has been an exercise in what I'm trying to preach here, right? So it feels so weird to recap to you things that I've already, told you. But for the context for the listener, I applied to a bunch of grad schools. A bad year to be applying to grad schools.
We just learned.
Yeah, Columbia, just like all of their funding got rescinded or like whatever. But it didn't go, let's say, the way I had planned.
Yes.
And so I really quickly had to realize that. And what I realized was my future thinking was I was counting on getting into these grad schools.
You saw it.
I saw it. And I texted you at one point. I was like, visualization is bullshit and I hate this. And I actually stand by that. No offense
No,
to
it's okay. No, you do you.
Again, like we have different thoughts on things, but that is future thinking. Like the idea of visualization, it is like future thinking. And this is, I know we disagree on these
but
things,
it's fine.
But this is why
No.
productive.
Your version expands my own. And also challenges my own, because either I agree with you and I change my mind, or I don't, and I learn more about why I believe what I believe.
Exactly.
So I don't mind either way.
So I had just like really convinced myself like that is what this year is going to look like. I am going to get accepted to every single school I applied to, and I'm going to be moving wherever I'm going to move, perhaps to a small Ivy League school in Rhode Island. But that's not my reality. And I had to quickly realize that I was solely thinking about the future rather than like being in the present right now. I was so worried about getting in or not getting in rather than just like spending each day to day. And so then what ended up happening was a company that I've worked for before, an organization I've worked for before, got in contact and they want me going back to England and like working in England again. And I'm like, okay, waiting until I have a visa in my passport.
To fully say, but
that
it's
I'm
happening. It is.
But even that idea that I'm going back to England, well, I have to stay in the present throughout all of this, because if I start thinking about, okay, well, what does that look like when I'm coming back to the States in July or August or whatever, I start getting like worried. I start flipping through my head trying to be like, okay, well, what am I going to do? What's next? And it's like, that's actually a long time away.
And you actually don't have enough information yet to really actually know what you're going to do.
No information actually at all, pretty much, right? So, and there's nothing I can do right now to get that information. So I have to just be totally at peace with the fact I don't know what August looks like.
Yeah.
Don't know what September looks like. Don't know what 2026 looks like.
Can that be exciting?
That is the most exciting. If you don't know, that's the most exciting. And I think my constant attempts to know is what causes me the most heartache, right? That constant attempt to be like, this is what August is going to look like. And then when August doesn't look like that, oh, that's tough.
Wait, but also if someone handed us our scheduled life for the next 2 years, I think you and I would get really sad.
That's an interesting thought experiment, isn't it? I don't think I want to know.
I don't think I want to know.
And then again,
wouldn't be nice.
I have no idea, actually. What a good first date question.
What a good...
I'm always collecting first date questions. If you could get a sheet that tells you exactly how the next 2 years are, would you take it?
Would you take it? Would you want to know?
Yes, I think I would.
Okay.
I think I would be, I wouldn't be able to resist the offer. Yeah. I would be far too curious. I couldn't say no. I don't have that kind of willpower. So for me, I would definitely say yes, but then, no, I don't even think I would regret it. I don't know. Who knows?
Only
this
be 2 years.
This is me not knowing.
Well, this is you today. You know what I mean? And also you don't have to commit to anything.
Yeah,
and like,
that's true.
Hopefully you don't have the same opinions later. You know what I mean? But, and also 2 years isn't that long of a time. So whatever, try it for 2 years.
That's
if it doesn't,
true.
then don't do it the increment of 2 years.
Okay, pocket this one.
Okay, anyways, but
great
continue.
little movie.
Thank you.
Go on.
Okay, noted.
Let's write it.
Done.
And this is the thing. We got to start writing right now.
We do.
And this is what we were talking about before is like, we have these ideas and we have like concepts and things like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well.
When? And the thing is
we got to just do it.
Take action from that moment, because that's where the inspiration is its most unfettered, like it's its most truest form.
Absolutely. I have 4 running notes on the notes app on my phone that are just writing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when am I going to get to the writing?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key is like, let's hop on the subway from here and let's be writing that movie about a little gremlin that's offering you a look at the next 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
Are you taking it?
Yeah.
It's very in line with your work and
It
your
is
writing.
very in line with
isn't
my
it?
work and my writing. I mean, I'm looking for another thing to produce, so
Well,
could do.
stay tuned.
I have 2 projects, need 1 more. 3's the limit, but
Me 3.
need 3. Okay, so moving forward, how are you going to stay present?
I am constantly checking myself, even right now.
Mhm.
I think obviously you have to plan for things. Obviously, you know, you have to be like, right, I need to do this on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yes.
still keeping a calendar,
Mhm.
you know, all of that. But day to day, when I catch myself thinking about the future or the past, I just am trying to reconnect with the present.
Okay.
Whether that's observations of around me. So like if
Yeah,
right
what does the
now,
practice look like?
yeah, if nothing's around and right now I start like really thinking about like, oh God, what's next? Oh, I never know what's next. What's next? And then I catch myself doing that and just like, I'm sitting at a table
Uh-huh.
and there's, you know, this here and there's a microphone in front of me. Maybe I do a little breathing exercise, whatever it is, just again, coming back to the present moment
Mm-hmm.
or reminding myself if it's quite zoomed out, you know, that
Yeah.
idea of like, what's next? Well, what does next year look like? And what's that? It was that being like, oh, right now,
Yeah.
I just moved to New York. I just reminding myself of what right now is and not getting ahead, or else I'm going to miss the right now.
Exactly, because it's like, is this thought to me right now helpful or hurtful? Because even if you spend the rest of the day being like, what does it look like in August? You're not going to find out.
Well, and you say, is this thought helpful or hurtful?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I keep going back to this, even though I have no idea where it comes from or what Buddhist philosopher said this, but present thought cannot hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
The only type of thinking that can hurt you is thinking about the past or thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And somebody said that to me in the past, like year or so, whatever. And I have not been able to disprove that.
Mm-hmm.
That is just, to me, seems to be so true.
It is so true because I don't know why it is so addictive to try to do the opposite, which is to be in the past or the future. We were driving up for a dear friend's wedding in California recently. He and I have been friends since middle school. And there was going to be a lot of people that I knew from childhood, from high school at the wedding. And I was sharing that I was like very nervous about it. But I had to stop myself where I thought, first of all, I have no idea what these people think of the version of me that they knew in high school or middle school, whatever we saw each other last. I have no idea. I have no control over that. I can't change that right now. I can't answer that for you right now. Me continuing to think about this is so not helpful, whether they thought I was an asshole or thought I was like annoying. I mean, I think everyone at that age is. But also, I can't help but if they're a human who goes off of old information or is excited for new information. And I was getting in my head about this, and I was like, wait, I have no control over any of this. I have no control over any of this.
What do you care?
And also, what do I care, genuinely? Because if I check in with myself, I'm like, I actually don't care. Then I get there. Everyone's lovely. I had an incredible time. And
most people are, and most people aren't ever thinking about you.
Ever.
The royal you.
The royal you.
A lot of people are thinking about Kate McLeod.
Thank you so much for making the distinction. But like, then I get there, and because I've disregarded those feelings and those sentiments, I'm not walking in with those feelings and preconceived notions, looking for that evidence that I am bound to find if that's what I think is there for me. So instead I just go, and it's like, I have an incredible partner who like makes me feel like magic all the time. I'm just gonna shout out. But I, just get there, and I was just like happy, joyful, and like met these people and was like, oh my God. And they were just as excited to literally meet me now as I was to meet them.
And what a waste of time ever worrying about it to begin with, ever working through those thoughts about the past and the hurts of the past and all of the thinking about the future and how are they going to think of you and all of that. Like, you wasted so much time, so much emotional energy, when if you had just stayed present, being like, look at how beautiful the trees are in Southern California at the time, like driving to this wedding. I don't know wherever it was.
No, we were. Yeah.
But, you driving to this wedding and you're staying in the moment, then you get there and you're in the moment and you're still having that exact same beautiful time. But you haven't wasted all of that time beforehand getting yourself worked up, getting yourself anxious. And look, I am trying to practice this. This is not, I'm not some wise person. Like, this is the entire idea of so many philosophers, and I've been trying to cite, sources on this. I'm just trying to be more present.
Yes.
And that just at all times, that is going to be for this year. That's what I'm going to do.
But that sentence means attempting to practice, attempting to make habit of. If I'm just trying, that's all you need to do. You don't need to be, because does this work all the time? No. Sometimes I have days where I do not wake up excited at all.
So weird, because you sometimes cannot sleep. That's how excited you are for the next day.
But heartbeats go up and down. Do you know what I mean? It's like we have to experience one to know the other. Opposites attract, because one side of opposition and the other side both inform the other about the other. One thing in relationship to what you don't know about other things. Everything is comparative, and like that's how you actually accumulate more knowledge, is by looking at the other side.
Sure. Absolutely. And that is what we're doing here today.
Yeah.
Looking at the other side.
Looking at the other side.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think that's why it's so helpful to have, like, because I could tell you, like, years ago, I wouldn't have admitted that I ever was anxious about, potentially. But it's like, as soon as you say it, it's not
the first
scary.
step is identifying it.
Yes. And then also saying it too. And better than most people. I was stuck in those patterns of thinking for so long, where it was just like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's like, it is so long ago. Why do we care? I can't tell you now why I cared so much. Well, I could actually, because I was trying to have control.
Yes.
And all I have control over is now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also trying to have control in areas that it's impossible to have control anyway.
Control is entirely a construct, a made-up construct. We never have control over anything. We're in this universe, like, whipsawing around. You know about this comet that's coming?
Go.
There's like a meteor coming. It's got a 5% chance of hitting Earth or whatever. That's what wiped out the dinosaurs. You know what? Like, the point is we don't have control over anything. Is, I guess, what I'm trying to get at. We have no control. So if we think we're controlling something, like, that is just.
Do you think control is an illusion?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And also, like, again, do I actually believe that? I don't know. But,
I don't know.
If a meteor could come, wipe out the dinosaurs, it could wipe us out. So what kind of control do I actually have in the grand scheme of things?
I used to have this thought a lot where it's just like, if I don't get to achieve what I want to, how sad. Where it's just like, then I thought, like, well, sad
to who?
Yeah, but sad to who? Because
like, I'm dead. So.
I know. So, wow.
Absolutely. I did see that big clock over there, and it is, we are at time.
Honestly, how we can fly like this is like such a gift in humanhood, of my humanhood, is that can happen.
I cannot believe it's been 2 hours.
I know. Wait, but that's how we magically realize it's 4 a.m.
Well, that's the constant thing when we're talking on the phone. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, Kate, we've been on the phone for over an hour. I gotta go. I gotta go right now.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to plug? Do you want people to follow along with you in any capacity?
No, because I'm taking a break from social media and just trying to live in the present, trying to live in the now.
Okay.
Come meet me in New York. Come chat.
Okay, I love it. Thanks for coming on.
Love you very much.
I love you so much. Oh my God, that flew.
Apologies. We're really bad at, sticking to time.
Yeah.
And that's the latest. I'm honored to have been part of your thinking sphere today. Feel free to share, like, and subscribe on this platform, or follow and participate on any of my social media platforms. If this practice intrigues you as much as it does me, then join us in the Me3 community, where we will work directly and you will curate a mindful method of thinking to define your own creative conscious. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of Authenticated. I love that you're here.